Watch him here. The ball comes to him wide on the left, and what happens next is barely football. It's a magic trick. The Romanian defenders lunge, they twist, they grab at air. Jérémy Doku is already gone. The official UEFA tally that night recorded a single match take-on record for the tournament, more than any player had managed at a Euros before. And the question that has shadowed his entire career is hiding in plain sight at the end of this very run. So where does the ball finish? To understand the run, you have to go back to a city in northern Belgium and to a family that crossed a continent to get there. Jérémy Doku was born in Antwerp on the 27th of May 2002. His parents had arrived in Belgium in 1993, Ghanaian immigrants building a new life far from home. That Ghanaian heritage runs through everything about him. The family carried their roots into a Belgian suburb and into a household where, by every account Jérémy has given, football was simply the language of childhood. He has spoken in interviews about playing constantly as a kid, on the street, in the cages, anywhere there was a ball. That obsession got noticed early. At 10 years old, he joined the academy of Anderlecht, one of the great institutions of Belgian football, a club that has produced talent for generations. And inside that academy, the thing that defined him was already obvious. He was small, he was fast, and the ball seemed glued to his feet when he ran. Then came the moment every academy kid dreams about. In 2018, at just 16 years old, Jérémy Doku made his debut for Anderlecht's first team. 16, in the senior side of one of Belgium's biggest clubs, taking on grown men. He didn't shrink. He ran straight at them. Over the next 2 seasons, he became one of the most talked about young wingers in the country. A player who could lift a crowd out of their seats with a single touch. And then, at 18, came the move that announced him to the whole of Europe. In 2020, Jérémy Doku left Belgium for France, signing for Stade Rennais. The fee was reported at around €26 million, making him, at the time, the most expensive signing in Rennes' entire history. An 18-year-old, a club record. That's a heavy weight to hand a teenager. But on the pitch, Doku looked like he'd been built for the bigger stage. In League One, a league full of pace and physicality, he kept doing the one thing nobody could solve. He went 1-against-1, and he won. He even tested himself in the Champions League with Rennes, running at some of the best defenders on the continent without a flicker of fear. And while he was making his name in France, his country came calling. In that same period, he made his senior debut for Belgium, and he scored. A new face stepping into a national team that was, at that time, ranked among the very best on earth. Because this was the Belgium of the golden generation: Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku. Doku was the kid being woven into a team chasing history. At the delayed Euro 2020, still a teenager, he came off the bench in the knockouts and terrorized defenses with his running. The talent was never the question. The talent took him to the biggest stage club football has to offer. In 2023, Manchester City came for him. The reported fee was around £55 million. He was joining the reigning champions of Europe, Pep Guardiola's treble winners, the most relentless machine in world football. And for a player whose whole game is freedom and instinct, dropping into the most choreographed team on the planet was a fascinating collision of styles. But Guardiola gave him a clear job: hug the touchline, isolate your defender, and do what nobody else in the squad could do. Beat your man, every single time. There were dazzling nights. Against some of the Premier League's best, he produced performances where he simply could not be contained on that left flank. The nutmegs, the changes of direction, the way he'd shift the ball from one foot to the other at full sprint, defenders were left grasping at shadows. And in 2024, he got his hands on the biggest domestic prize of all, a Premier League title, won with City as part of a historic run of championships. a Belgian winger from Antwerp, an immigrant family's son, lifting the Premier League trophy at 21 years old. But to really understand why people talk about Jérémy Doku the way they do, you have to hear it from the people who've seen everything. Thierry Henry, a man who shared dressing rooms with some of the greatest players to ever live, could not stop talking about him. Henry called him extraordinary and said he'd never seen anyone so quick in the dribble, that Doku makes defenders look like they're moving at normal speed while he is in fast forward. And when you watch it back, that's exactly what it looks like. Everyone else is playing the game at one speed. Doku is playing it at another. He's not tall, he's not powerful in the conventional sense. His superpower is acceleration over the first few yards, and a centre of gravity so low he can change direction without slowing down. Give him grass and a defender to attack, and the outcome feels almost predetermined. He is, by a long way, one of the most devastating one-against-one dribblers on the planet. And yet, there has always been an "and yet" with Jérémy Doku. Go back to that run against Romania we opened with. The dribbling was historic, but the honest tension of his whole career lives at the end of those runs. The final ball, the finish, the end product. At Euro 2024, he completed more dribbles than any other player at the entire tournament. By the raw measure of beating opponents, nobody on earth was better. The most dribbles of any player at the Euros. A single-match take-on record. The eye test and the data agreeing completely. But the goals and the assists have lagged behind the brilliance of the running. For all the defenders he's left on the floor, the numbers in the final column have never quite matched the spectacle. It's the great debate around him. Is the dribble the whole point, or is the dribble only worth what it produces at the end? The fairest answer is that he is still young, still learning when to beat his man and when to release it a beat earlier, and that the very fearlessness that costs him the odd final ball is also the thing that makes him unstoppable in the first place. And there have been setbacks too. Like so many explosive, acceleration-based players, he has had to manage muscle injuries, spells on the sidelines that interrupt the rhythm just as he's building momentum. In a squad as deep as City's, that's the cruelty of it. Miss a few weeks, and the queue of world-class attackers ahead of you doesn't wait. He has had to fight, again and again, for his minutes. Which brings us to the biggest stage of all, and to a national team in transition. At the 2022 World Cup, Belgium's golden generation finally ran out of road. Group stage elimination. The end of an era for De Bruyne, Hazard and the rest. The giants who had carried Belgian hopes for a decade were stepping aside. And the question for an entire football nation became simple. Who's next? The answer, more than anyone, is Jérémy Doku. The kid who came off the bench at his first tournament is now the man Belgium build around. Euro 2024 was the proof. With the old guard fading, it was Doku's running that gave Belgium their most dangerous moments. The one-player opponents genuinely feared. That record-breaking night against Romania wasn't a one-off. It was a statement of who he'd become, the engine of a new Belgian generation. And now comes the stage that defines careers. The 2026 World Cup. This is the tournament where the new wave answers for itself. No golden generation to hide behind. No legends to defer to. Belgium's hopes carried on the shoulders of a winger from Antwerp. And it's the perfect setting for the through line of his whole story. The dribble has never been in doubt. The world has watched him beat defenders since he was 16. The question is whether the biggest stage is where the end product finally catches up to the talent, where the runs start ending in goals and assists that decide knockout matches. Because that's what Jérémy Doku represents, possibility. He's the son of Ghanaian immigrants who came to Belgium in 1993, a boy from Antwerp who turned street football into a club record transfer and a Premier League medal before his 22nd birthday. For every kid in a Belgian suburb with immigrant parents and a ball at their feet, he is living proof of where that road can lead. And whatever the final numbers say, there's a purity to what he does. In an era of systems and structures, Jérémy Doku is a throwback to the simplest, most thrilling idea in the sport. Give me the ball, and I'll take you on. Thierry Henry saw it. The defenders left grasping at air have felt it. He is one of the most electric dribblers football has produced in a generation. The rise has been real. The talent is undeniable. And now, at a World Cup, with a nation behind him, Jérémy Doku has the chance to answer the only question he has left to answer. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.